I'm with Tim Howes, the CTO and co-founder of Rockmelt, and you're about to come out with a mobile app for the iPhone, right?
Correct, Rockmelt for iPhone.
Okay, so why don't you show me what the app is? And this, do you consider this a mobile browser, or
So I would consider it a reinvention of the browser for mobile, and the interesting thing to us is that it turns out not to look much like a traditional browser. And you think about it, if you're in line for Starbucks and you whip out your iPhone, the last thing you want to do is type in a long URL. So with Rockmelt for mobile, you can type in a URL or a search term if you want, but most of the time I want to start with one of my bookmarks. So here are all my bookmarks. They're totally synced from my desktop, the exact same bookmarks that are on my desktop. Or maybe I want to start with my Facebook feed. So here's my Facebook news feed, and you can see all the posts. If I want to read one of these posts, there it is. I can like it if I want. I can comment on it, just like I would on the desktop, and you can see the web view of whatever comment is there loads underneath. If I go back, maybe I want to drill down onto my Twitter feed. So here are all my Twitter posts that are in my feed. If I want to read an article from TechCrunch, there it is. I have all the verbs from Twitter: reply, retweet, and so on. And you can see the mobile version of the website is loaded below. And the same is true for all of my RSS feeds. So if I want to go read /dot, for example, here it all is. Now, the great thing is that all of these feeds and all of the read and unread counts here are synced from my desktop. So I get to pick up just where I left off. If I want to add a feed, I can click here. I have categories of feeds in different areas that I can easily add. And then one of the greatest features is if I see an article I like, say from TechCrunch, I like it, I can go click on this read later button here. The little clock now just turned orange. And then back here I have a new entry in my view later feed. Now that's nice on the phone, but the really great thing is that syncs to my desktop. So I can go back and read that article later.
all right? And so then, basically, just to show what this is the side rail here on my Rockmelt, and what you're replicating is what's on the side rail, which is all the RSS feeds, your Facebook feed, your Twitter feed, and this will sync up back and forth.
Right, and you'll see in the latest version of Rockmelt there'll be a feed right here called View Later, where that post I just saved in View Later will show up.
Right. So, what's your expectation of how many people will use this as their first experience with Rockmelt versus, existing users adding it as a mobile?
Yeah, well, I think so. The design point was definitely for desktop users. They're going to want the iPhone version if they use an iPhone. So you get a lot more. It's a lot richer experience if you've already created the context on the desktop. Now you can have a first-time experience on the phone itself, in which case what you would see when you first logged in is your Facebook feeds and the ability to add feeds that you saw. Then if you go to the desktop, you can add feeds. Everything will sync back and forth. So, there's going to be a much richer experience for users who are both on the desktop and on the iPhone. And that's the key feature of the product in general, is keeping all of those things in sync. So wherever I left off on my desktop, I can pick up on my iPhone.
Right. So I think, the biggest criticism of Rockmelt, or one of the biggest criticisms, is also its greatest strength, which is that you're basically choosing different features that you're making part of the whole experience. Mm-hmm. Features that in other browsers people could probably add on as extensions or try to somehow kludge together, to get some of the same basic functionality. Mm-hmm. So, I guess what are the benefits of sort of putting it all together for people versus letting people put it together themselves? Yeah. And do you feel that on mobile that's even more powerful than on the desktop?
Well, so I think, you said the benefit well. It's not kludged together. It's a very integrated well thought out, integrated with your other browsing design. And it also, since it's connected to the Rockmelt cloud, we actually store the preferences, your bookmarks, your feeds, where you are in those feeds, your friends, your favorite friends, everything about your browsing experience gets stored in the cloud. So if you log in from your Windows machine at work, your Mac at home, or now your iPhone, you get that exact same context. And what I find is it's that context that provides the starting point for whatever I do on the internet, whether I start with a bookmark, or I start with a feed, or I start with something that Rockmelt already knows about me.
Great, thank you.